Welcome back to Sure It'll Be Grand, and welcome back to a special treat as we jump back into doing TV. I think the last time we did TV here at Sure It'll Be Grand, Owen and I were reviewing either... What was it? Was it Loki or was it WandaVision? Jesus. See, cause he's not here today, what was it?
I think it was Loki.
Jesus. Kevin, what are you doing?
What? You left the key to your house in your pocket, and I just couldn't leave it there.
That's breaking in.
Not if I have a key, actually.
I still think by Irish law it can't consider as breaking in.
Nah, sure.
You didn't break anything. Okay, to be fair, you didn't break anything this time.
Yeah. It's breaking and entering, but just entering. Yeah. So it's not a crime. It's not a crime to enter a building, is it?
You know what? Fair point. It's not. Absolutely not, folks. You heard it here first. Just walking into buildings can't be a crime. As long as you're not breaking anything, But yes.
Just be very careful.
As I said, here's Kevin. You have heard Kevin before. He has been on the podcast. He was here for our review of the Transformers movie. That little moment. I'm honestly looking back now, and I felt like I was taking acid. And not just from the movie itself, but really just me trying to understand it. Like, my brain was just, suppressing it.
Yeah, that movie was, a total trip.
Yeah.
Even, I forget about it, and then I'll suddenly remember it, and I'll be like, what even was the chain of events of that movie? Yeah. I remember every event in it, but I don't remember how they connect to each other in order.
I have a faint memory of them being on another planet, and then a train. Was there a train in there? I think there was a train. I've had a lot of problems with that train, didn't I? I was giving out about the train a lot.
I distinctly remember. And if you're giving out about trains on other planets, then today's episode's going to be pretty fun for you.
Yes, because we're doing Kenobi. Or Obi-Wan Kenobi as the full title. I was surprised. I thought it was going to be just called Kenobi. I thought that'd be more dramatic. Yeah,
I thought we were going to get... maybe they were scared that people would be like, oh no, it's Solo again.
Yeah.
The difference is people wanted this.
Interesting thing, this was going to be the second Star Wars story about a Jedi, specifically. Obviously the movies, but a TV series, a TV series that covers a Jedi, right? Because they were going to have another one. I think it was going to be disconnected to everything, but when the Han Solo movie did so poorly, they cancelled it.
Yeah, I'm not surprised, honestly. That, speaking of movies where you remember the events but can't remember how they link to each other in any way.
Yeah,
movie's one of them.
I just remember him walking up to lots of campsites and wiggling his eyebrow and saying shit.
I remember that the reason he's named Solo is because he wasn't named Solo.
Yes, that's right, yeah. And dice, very important, the dice, Anyway,
yes.
This is not a review on Solo, which some people have enjoyed, and I'm glad they did. But yes, this is about Obi-Wan Kenobi. So, folks, just a heads up, there will be spoilers. There will be spoilers for this show, every previous Star Wars show, movie, merchandise, media, whatever you think it could be, it'll be spoilers. Only thing that we won't spoiler are things that haven't happened yet. So, you're welcome.
I'm going to try my best.
Yeah. We're going to also review the first 2 episodes in this episode, but from next week onwards, it'll be 1 episode per episode, and little tidbits that we know about it, and our opinions and reviews. And yes, Kevin has joined us, and ever so graciously, because I wasn't planning on reviewing Obi-Wan Kenobi, and I watched the first episode and went, alright, I'm going to bother Kevin at work to tell him that we're going to record a review, because Kazi's quite busy with life and stuff, and he's not mad on doing the old television reviews all the time.
Yeah.
So I thought, Kevin, you'll be interested.
I'm definitely interested. Honestly, weirdly enough, I like to watch a lot of, I like watching trailers. I'd say I'm a bit of a trailer watcher myself, and this one was actually one I didn't watch many trailers for. I was still excited for it. I just didn't watch the trailers for it. So I'm fairly blind going into it, and I'm really happy I'm fairly blind going into it because it's like I definitely think it's very interesting from the first two episodes.
Interesting thing. You haven't watched many of the trailers. Would you be shocked in knowing that we got a lot of child Luke off in the distance, but we saw nothing of Leia in any of the trailers?
Yeah, that would genuinely be quite odd to hear, given how these episodes have been.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
and I feel like that's really good marketing if they did it that way, because it completely messes. Yeah.
We'll get to that now in a second, but we'll start with... we're not going to go through the entire plot, but we'll touch the fun parts. It says roughly about 10 years after the Empire started, the Jedi fell when Anakin got his legs chopped off by jumping over the guy who says the high ground's not good for you.
Yeah. Is that a direct quote?
Yeah. I've learned all the scripts off by heart. Like, hey Luke, I am
the sacred
your dad.
text.
The sacred text, yes. Oh no, not the sacred text, Yoda. So you see what happened there? See? I know him perfect.
Yeah. Honestly, perfect. Like, perfectly accurate recreation of that scene.
And then Yoda's going, shut up, you prick. Which, to be fair, like, not the words-wise, but energy-wise, fairly accurate, you know?
I think if Yoda said it, it would probably come out like, you prick, shut up.
Prick are you? Yes!
I'll be shut.
But, yes, so it's set around 10 years. We do get see what happened 10 years prior. We see the Jedi Academy? The Jedi Temple?
Yeah, we see the temple.
We see a bunch of kids training what I imagine is some sort of Jedi feng shui. Not feng shui, that's the one where you move furniture
Feng shui.
That's the one about furniture. The other one is the Tai Chi? Tai Chi. I think it's Tai Chi.
It's like a yoga thing they're doing.
Yeah. And there's a bunch of kids with their master, and suddenly, kaboom, clone troopers
Order 66.
Yeah, Order 666. 6666? Oh no, Satan's involved.
I can't believe Lucas was one number away from making a devil metaphor, and he didn't do it.
Yeah. It rhymes. That'll be in the next trilogy. We'll get 666.
Yeah, the next trilogy when somehow the Emperor has returned, but he's Satan this time.
I mean, isn't he basically that in all of these anyway?
Yeah, but now he has horns and a tail.
Okay. Yeah, those clone tanks went weird.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. We see this. Look, these are kids. They don't have their independent master yet, but they have an overall teacher teaching them about Jedi yoga. And they run through, and the Jedi master seems to be a woman who is amazing. Like, she blocks so many shots from multiple clone troopers, and they get into a certain distance. And did you hear about some of the theories about who the kids might be?
Who the kids might? No, I haven't heard. I assumed, like, just after watching that, I assumed some of them became Inquisitors.
Yes, so there is a black kid there who looks very much like the third sister.
Yeah, Reva was her name,
Reva,
I think.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Exactly, so... and just to jump to episode 2, the con man who pretends to be a Jedi.
A Jedi, yeah.
Did you get vibes that he may have had some connection with the Jedi before when he... Because I have a feeling, are you, like, one of the kids?
I would assume he was one of the kids, except for the fact he clearly didn't have the Force.
Yeah.
But, like, he might have been. He might, like, genuinely, if we're looking at other pieces of Star Wars media, for example, there has been examples where people forgot how to use the Force. Maybe.
Here's the thing to be said, like, he was just a youngling. Like, the Force takes many years of training. Like, when we meet Anakin, like, who was the chosen one, he didn't start moving things around with his hand and the Force.
He was cheating at pod races, but he did that by accident.
Yeah. Well, all those are kind of indirect things, and I think We even see Leia doing a little bit of that by how she like dodges blasts and stuff. Like, there seems to be a little bit going on, but we'll get to that in a moment. So we have all the running away from it and the Clone Wars, and we have we see Ben waking up 10 years later. He's out in the desert. He's keeping an eye on Luke. Owen isn't too happy, Luke's uncle, about him staring him out. Obi-Wan has a weird job where he slices up desert fish.
Yeah, I really like that detail.
Yeah.
With it, because I never thought, like, oh, Obi-Wan's been in the desert for all these years. He's had to watch Luke. What does he do with a day job? Like, I never once thought, how does he make ends meet?
And, it's a fair point, because they don't take galactic credit out there in the, in the outer rims, like.
Yeah, especially if you're dealing with, I'm going to feel like a fool in front of the Star Wars fans. Trendoshans, I think, are the guys.
Those are the guys with the wings and the...
Yeah, they're immune to Jedi mind tricks. Yeah. Which is definitely not a plot contrivance.
That's one hell of an evolutionary trait, isn't it?
I know. Imagine your evolutionary trait is that you're immune to force powers. What's your natural predator that gives you that trait?
Oh, I mean, it could be the Sith, the original Sith.
Could
species,
be.
Yeah. They just bullied these species for too long, and they went, well, now we're just going to evolve a trait, and so we don't have to give you free podcasting bits.
Podcasting bits?
Pod racing bits, that's it.
The Trandoshans, well-known podcasters in the Star Wars universe. Actually, I'm imagining.
Just go back there and say that again, because you went all woof.
Oh yeah, I'm imagining a Trandoshan voice on a podcast. I actually don't hate that. That's a hilarious thought. Oh, are you thinking? I think you're mixing. Wait, maybe I'm mixing up. Is Trandoshans the ones where Sebulba, who walks on his hands?
Yeah, no, I feel like they both have kind of the same voice, to be honest with you.
Yeah, to be fair.
Yeah, it's a weird, grumpy alien man voice,
Yeah. Although one of them never speaks English.
Yeah.
Or whatever Star Wars English is.
Yeah. Let us know in the comments. What is Star Wars English called?
Stawillingi. No, never. I'm losing that. I'm not going to go with that.
It's probably something like Common Galactic or something like that.
Probably.
But yes, so Obi-Wan is slicing up fish. He keeps a little bit of fish to the side, which his nasty boss doesn't seem to ever notice.
Yeah.
Even though he's very skimpy on paying wages,
Yeah. I genuinely, could they show him take a piece of meat 3 times in the episode? I genuinely thought it's going to be a rule of 3. The 3rd time he's going to get caught or something like that.
And that's why he shows he's a Jedi by pushing him back or something like that, or
mind tricking him.
Yeah.
But no, they didn't do that. So there's just 3 scenes where he collects fish.
It's an interesting thing. So at the end of Revenge of the Sith, we get the impression that Obi-Wan is doing this as his duty to protect Luke and make sure he's safe. But I think it has, in these last 10 years, turned into more of him trying to hold on to the past, remembering Anakin.
Yeah, definitely.
Because at this stage, he thinks Anakin is dead, and not just Jedi dead. He thinks he's biologically done. Yeah,
I mean, if you were there on Mustafar and you saw Anakin like that, I think your best guess would be, he's as good as dead. Yeah. I don't need to check for a pulse on this one.
Which does make me think, do you not, just put him out of his misery?
I mean, no, we see that scene. He just walks away.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. A bit cold-hearted. It's just all right, go on, show me your neck.
And all the while, Anakin's just screaming, "I hate you!"
And then Palpatine comes along, where Anakin's head is missing from the body, and they, instead of taking the head, they take the body and put it in Darth Vader's suit. So, It's not working.
And they put C-3PO's head on.
Oh,
Completely different Star Wars story now.
well, not too different, because we see relatives of C-3PO, because Princess Leia is here.
Yeah.
Yes, she is on, oh god, what was her plan again? Alderaan.
Alderaan.
Yes.
You're forgiven for not remembering it, because spoilers for the movie, the first ever Star Wars movie, Alderaan doesn't last very long in the series.
I always mix Alderaan up with her Ma's home planet.
Naboo.
Because, like, in my head, it's still weird that they did Naboo in the prequels and didn't do Alderaan. Because it makes so much sense that you actually build up some of this Alderaan history in the movies, you know?
Yeah, but they went with a new Naboo. Maybe because Gungans. They wanted to include Gungans. Gungans were really important.
Wait, are you saying they wanted to include Gungans in potential sequel trilogies? Because that's the only time when they become relevant, if we try to preserve Naboo. No,
what I'm saying is, like, the lore had already been stated that only people from Alderaan lived on Alderaan, I'm assuming. I don't know Star Wars lore. Maybe other non-Alderaanians lived there. But we know in Naboo, the Gungans lived there with the Naboo... Oh, they're just called the Naboo. Yeah, I remember that. I remember that detail.
Yeah. I guess, but again, there wasn't much lore on, like, Alderaan. You know, we just knew it was like, she was princess of the planet and it was blown up.
Yeah, Alderaan was basically a matte painting.
Yeah. But, so we see Alderaan. Interesting stuff. We see a lot of, like, the soldiers and people helping, and they all have similar kind of costumes to A New Hope, where they are on Leia's spaceship. And, that was a nice, because it took me a second, why do they look that way? They seem familiar, and then I connected it. Leia is a 10-year-old full of mischief. She does an interesting thing, which I thought was a cool thing to the prequels. So her natural mother, Padme, she had stand-ins for her when she was the queen.
Oh,
like lookalikes. And Princess Leia does the exact same thing here, because we see this girl being dressed and all that, and then it gets revealed that it's one of her friends or her servants, and she has escaped out into the countryside. And it's like, that's very Padme genes coming out there.
I didn't even realize that reference. That's a good one.
Yeah. But Padme is just chilling out. She has a little robot friend.
Leia.
Oh, Jesus, Leia. Leia's hanging out in the woods. She has her own tree. There's some sort of family meeting thing going on. She doesn't want to be part of it, you know?
Yeah.
And she just wants to chill out in the woods. She doesn't like her cousins and all this kind of stuff. And yeah, she has a little robot. I can't remember the name of the robot just right now.
It's like it's something like Lola or something, or Lolo. It's a little disc thing. It's closer to it's very new Star Wars looking.
Yeah.
Robot companion.
Yeah.
Like new. That's not a diss against it either, because I quite like robots like BB-8 and just BB-8, I guess.
Yeah.
I can't even remember the one from. It's
kind of like a flat ladybug-looking thing. And we find that Leia is actually very respectable towards droids. Like, she says thank you and all that stuff. And even when she gets caught and like told to see her cousins and all this kind of stuff, you know, she says thank you to YO, which is a protocol droid. And her cousin makes a point that you're a bit weird saying thank you to droids. They're a lesser life form, which I think is the first time they mentioned that droids are life form.
Yeah, and then she turns to her cousin and goes L plus ratio plus.
Fell
up. She absolutely like demolishes him.
Yeah, the kid's great. Just
honestly,
absolutely fantastic.
I wasn't going into this looking for a great kid Leia, and I came out wishing I had wished for it, because I would have gotten my wishes.
Vivian Lyra Blair plays Leia Organa, and she does such a great job. Oh, it's cheeky, smarter than anyone in the room. You know, it's beautiful.
The best thing about this is that I 100% can see this kid growing up to become a leader in a rebel alliance who would, in front of the enemy dictator, flee with battle plans.
Yeah.
Like in view, and then get caught and say they know nothing about what happened.
Yeah, I'm a diplomatic mission. You know what you're on about.
I 100% can see this kid growing up and doing that. And that's pitch perfect casting for me.
Yeah. She's absolutely fantastic. We don't actually see really Luke all that much yet. He has been cast, obviously, but we only really see him like off in the distance on top of his playing like pretend pod racing, all this kind of stuff. But yeah, Leia gets brought back in, and she absolutely demolishes her cousin. And this is where things start getting a bit weird. Well, not weird. She goes outside, like her dad, Boru. What's it called again? What's his name?
It's her dad is. Oh God, you're going to kill me with this. Like, actually, here's the thing. After I watched it, I'm like, I'm going to have to remember this because Dan's going to forget it.
Well, I believe it's called Bail Organa.
That's it, Bail.
Yes.
God.
Oh, how the turns of tables.
I mean, we both sat there like struggling. You can't claim victory here. We both lost.
I think I can claim it. I just
no, because I said you can't.
Okay. Yeah. So, Bail Organa, I think is played beautifully here. He knows his daughter. He makes a point to her saying like, "You are an Organa in every way that's important. You are like 100% just because she's adopted." And I think that's always been the case in this as well. Like, we do find out eventually that she's obviously brothers with Luke. Sisters with Luke. She's Luke's brother.
Interesting twist.
Plot twist. But yeah,
identical twins, you say?
Yeah, there you go. There's that conversation again. But yeah. So we know that she has been raised politically. We know she's a princess. We know she's as feisty as she's ever been, but like she is out in the woods, and she gets kidnapped.
Yeah,
and I believe the main kidnapper is from the Red Hot Chili Peppers. He is. I'm not joking.
That's such a weird thing. But I will say about this specific chase scene. I think this was the only point when I was watching these two episodes back to back where I'm like, really? Because
terrible kidnappers. Just absolutely
these three adults like. Absolutely failing to stop this 10-year-old.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not sure you know this, audience, but 10-year-olds don't run very fast.
Yeah. And you can find that these kidnappers literally had to widen their steps sideways, so as they ran, they kind of ran bow-legged to slow down their speed. And like making weird shortcuts trying to catch her. And it's just like, okay.
It was like bizarre that like what we were looking at.
Yeah.
It's especially when I'm fairly certain this galaxy does have stun gun technology.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing, I know it does have stun gun technology because it was used on Leia in episode 4.
Yeah.
And by Leia in episode 8.
So, like, this is a stage where I thought, okay, they kidnapped her because they want to bounty her or whatever it is. But because we watched episode 2, we'll mention it now. They kidnapped her because they want to bring Obi-Wan out of hiding.
And I really like that. Not like for the kidnappers. Kidnappers are just kind of like your average goon villains kind of thing. But it does help make Reva, the third sister, actually somewhat more intimidating as an intellectual threat for Obi-Wan. I think that goes a long way more than I will say. I'm probably going to say I will say a lot because I say it a lot. But I will say that I'm not a huge fan of Reva from these two episodes so far. So I felt she was a bit. This is going to sound weird, given that she's the antagonist, but she was a bit too antagonistic.
She's a little chaotic. She's a little bit like these people are less than us, and like flat out attacking.
Yeah, that's more so a taste thing. That's not my favorite type of villain who
Yeah,
just goes around saying, "I'm going to cut your hands off," like to every like poor person she meets.
yeah,
By the way, actual scene that happened in the episode, she
yeah.
threatened everyone. She cut everyone's hands off.
Oh,
Um, but like, I see like the good things they're doing with her character, and she's probably there. There's I'll save it for later. Scene later in episode 2. That's a bit. I'm not sure how she's going to talk her way out of it in episode 3.
mm.
Is all I'm going to say for now.
But see, don't you
Um,
think now, because there's a hint at her having been a Padawan,
yeah,
and Obi-Wan being her having obviously a very certain distaste towards Obi-Wan, like she's hunting for him more than anyone else.
I I'd say if she is the Padawan, I'd say it's very possible that she's a Padawan.
Yeah,
That we know that she knows about Anakin,
yeah.
as Anakin. So it's very possible that she, in some way, would blame Obi-Wan for letting all of this stuff happen. But at the same time, she's on the Empire side. So I'm not sure that the exact motivation they'd go for, but probably something to that effect.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with the idea that she has been indoctrinated, she's been pulled in, tortured
Yeah,
by Vader throughout the years, and then trained, to be his lackey.
yeah. I'm not sure if Vader would have trained her or it would have been the Grand Inquisitor.
Yeah, but I think they
Um,
all kind of work underneath Vader, don't they?
yeah, and they all get the spinny lightsaber.
Hmm. Except her, who doesn't get the spinning lightsaber.
She does.
Does she?
You can see she doesn't spin it, but I think it's a spinny lightsaber because
And
it
it has
looks
a
like.
handle thing, like a round thing. I don't think
Yeah,
it has to go the whole way around.
well, I think I didn't watch Rebels, but I've seen clips from Rebels, and the Inquisitors are in Rebels.
Yeah.
And their handles do that. They flip open, so it's a circle,
Okay.
and they gain the spinning thing. I'm fairly certain that happens anyway.
Hmm.
And why not do that? Because it's a cool lightsaber you can sell toys of.
Well,
Um,
we already saw the spinning in the second episode as well.
yeah, from the Grand Inquisitor.
Yeah. Grand. Aha.
Sure, it'll be the Grand Inquisitor.
Sure, it's yourself. Well, yeah. So we get. Yeah, where were we?
We went on a we talked about Leia. We were at
Yeah.
Leia, and we went on a tirade. We went to the third sister.
Yeah. Okay. Right. So yeah, Leia is kidnapped, and her dad is like, no. And the Inquisitors are.
That was his whole reaction.
Yeah. The Inquisitors are also still on Tatooine, and they're trying to find a Jedi, and there is a Jedi there who tried to protect the barman and all this kind of stuff, and he eventually finds Obi-Wan after Owen gives Obi-Wan a big given out to saying, why did you give Luke a toy? And it's the same toy Luke plays with in The New Hope as well.
Yeah.
So that's, I thought it was a nice little nod as well. But yeah, so he stops and says, look, you're Obi-Wan, I need your help. And Obi-Wan's just like, it's not me, I'm Ben. Ha ha ha. Which is very much the opposite of how he was in A New Hope. Because the moment he says, I'm looking for Ben Kenobi, Obi-Wan Kenobi, he goes, that's me. Well, of course I know him.
He's just. I'm looking forward to seeing how the show gets to that point for him.
Yes, so Jedi basically finds Obi-Wan, and Obi-Wan's very much like, oh, no. Look, just bury your lightsaber off in the desert and live a normal life,
Yeah.
And he's like, you're Obi-Wan Kenobi, what the hell has happened in the last 10 years? And he doesn't really answer, he just kind of looks away. And it's on his way. And, sadly we find out later on in the episode that he's basically been hung, even though
They don't show. Well, did they? I don't think they show him being hanged or anything, but he does. His body is hanging from an archway.
Yeah. And I think that's a bit of a wake up call for Obi-Wan as well.
Yeah.
Who gets a call when he gets back, and it's Leia's dad saying, "We need your help. She needs you," which is obviously another little nod to my own hope. and all this kind of stuff.
Help us, Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Yeah.
It will only help.
But so eventually, even though he says, "Look, find someone else, you'd be better off," Leia's father comes to Tatooine himself. I will say, when I first saw that hood, I was like, "Who could this be?" I was thinking some other Jedi has snuck up. Honestly, I've been looking for Mace Windu. You know.
Oh god, you're gonna be waiting for Mace Windu a while, man. I think.
But yeah, and eventually, Obi-Wan decides to become a Jedi again. He goes out in the desert, unburies his lightsaber and Anakin's lightsaber, which, interestingly, so at the end of Rise of Skywalker, we see Leia bury lightsabers. Right?
No, actually, Rey buried them.
Who did I say?
You said Leia.
Oh, Leia. No, Leia wasn't around anymore. Spoiler alert. Rey buries the lightsabers. Interestingly, she buries them without any cloth around them. She just puts them on the ground and let the desert take them. So, like, she's done.
Yeah.
Obi-Wan unburies them, and they're in a nice box, covered in a shawl, like he's still protecting that time.
And I think it's even the same box, or at least a similarly designed box, the box that you see in A New Hope, that he takes the lightsaber out to give to Luke.
So obviously, whatever happens between then and now, he's okay with being a bit closer, with it being a little bit, to him. But yeah, we see Obi-Wan. He heads off planet. He has a lightsaber on the side. He's able to track the ship. And he comes to this cyberpunky world of neon lights. And
very Blade Runner.
Yeah, very Blade Runner looking planet. Yes, indeed there is. And he starts going hunting now, and he's aware at this stage, don't use lightsabers, don't use the Force, because anyone who sees it will try and catch him.
Yeah, and he hasn't up until this point. These 2 episodes, he hasn't used the Force yet.
No.
At all, which I was astounded by, given how lackadaisical he usually is about it. He's the same guy who Jedi mind tricks a guy next to him at the bar into rethinking his entire life for selling death sticks.
Yeah, that must have been a mindfuck for that dude.
Yeah. Imagine he wakes up the next morning and he's like, "What am I doing? Should I go back to death sticks?"
Yeah, exactly. But he finds his way to where Leia is, but he goes in and he sees this shadow of a little girl, and obviously it's not a little girl, it's some pots and pans or a cloak over it, something like that. And it turns out that the whole deal was them trying to capture Obi-Wan.
Yeah, and he these 3 guys, they pin Obi-Wan to the wall. And they're like, "Oh, the third sister, she's coming for you now. The Inquisitor's paying a lot of money to get you, a lot of credits." And then he immediately dupes them and escapes using a cloud of drugs, I think.
Yeah.
Cloud of drugs.
I guess the entire place he was in was like a drug den. The spice.
Yeah. Well, he got given them as a free sample by a girl on the street earlier.
Yeah.
Because he was like, "I'm looking for a girl," and he's like, "You don't find any girls here. Here, have a free sample. It'll make you forget about it real quick."
And the way he found this place was because he heard of a Jedi who knew all the secrets around here, and that Jedi could help him. And that Jedi was played by Kumail.
I think it's Kumail.
Nanjiani. Great comedian. And he wasn't Marvel, but we won't mention the movie.
Honestly, he's the best part of the movie that he's in my opinion.
Which movie was that, Kevin?
It's the one that's bad.
Yeah.
If you like it, that's fine, but you can't admit that it's good.
But it turns out, we see Obi-Wan looking at him when he's like helping this a mother and daughter trying to get off planet, like by bringing a lightsaber to him and using a mind force trick.
Yeah.
So yeah, Kamal and Gianna, which I said definitely in a weirdly Italian accent.
That's the weirdest way I've heard that name pronounced. Yeah.
I'm sorry, Kamal. It's on me. But yes, we find out that this guy is obviously using magnets and pretending to use mind tricks and all this kind of stuff to make a little extra credit and all this kind of,
Yeah.
And Obi-Wan kind of bullies him and gets information from him and, calls him a rat for what he does. And he says, look, I like credits. It doesn't mean I'm a bad guy.
Yeah. I have to kind of agree with him. Like, he is literally in a place full of, like, horrible people, drug dens, and exploitation. All he's doing is little magic tricks, Like, is he exploiting poor people? A little bit. But is he actually giving them what they want? Yeah.
Yeah.
So I can't fault him.
He's a bit grey, but he's not a bad person.
Yeah.
Yeah. But so he kidnaps. They try to kidnap him. He escapes, and
Obi-Wan. You're talking about Obi-Wan.
Yes, Obi-Wan. No, he just gives him the information. Off he goes. And Obi-Wan finds Leia and tries to peg it. Around this stage, the third sister makes a big push, and she's trying to find Obi-Wan, and the Grand Inquisitor comes along to her and says, hey, you're dirt. You're part of the sewer. Mm-hmm. You're worse than us in every way. Which makes me think, again, she's probably a Padawan, I think so.
Padawan, yeah.
Yeah.
Or a youngling, even. But because, it means more so that she was definitely found poor and struggling to survive, which does lend to her being one of the younglings. Because I imagine once they left the Jedi Temple, they were kind of on their own. Because going to be like most of the Jedi I think recruited kids from all over the place.
Yeah.
Like her parents were probably on some random nowhere planet, like light years away, and she had not a chance of ever seeing them again.
Yeah.
Because, the Jedi are good people who would do that to a child.
Yeah. And that was definitely the story of the prequels, that the Jedis were the good guys.
Yeah.
It wasn't, if you pay attention. It's very clearly said it wasn't. Like, they're highly flawed people.
They also show that, like, George Lucas is great at writing a comedy if he's not trying. If he's trying to write a drama, it makes the funniest thing ever.
Yeah. But, yes. So, that they're trying... so, like, the Inquisitor's like, no, you're useless. Go head back home. And she goes like, I'll show you how useless I am. And she sends out a bounty for Obi-Wan across the planet saying, he's here, get him. You know? And, basically, that entire town seems to just be assassins and mercenaries.
At least a high population of it are all tuned in to whatever the bounty hunter equivalent of Twitter is, because all of them get the same notification going, Obi-Wan's here, and they're all sitting around tables and stuff, and all of their little holograms are going off, being like, "Hey, go catch Obi-Wan," and Obi-Wan's saying, "Yeah, we are screwed. Let's go hide in an alleyway."
Yeah. So yeah, they hide in an alleyway. Leia's like, "Are you a Jedi? Because I saw you that." And she was like, "No, don't worry about it." He says, "What's your name?" It's like, "It's Ben." "No, it's not. I know when you're lying." She seems very inquisitive, and she kind of she's able to read people, and she pegs it.
Yeah, right. She's gone, and there's an entire chase sequence where Obi-Wan, while fighting off bounty hunters, has to try and chase Leia and also make sure she's safe, because she is in one of the most dangerous cities that I think has been in Star Wars. Like definitely up there. This makes Mos Eisley seem not like
Yeah.
a wretched hive of scum and villainy.
Yeah, maybe a little bit wretched, like run down and
Yeah.
a bad community.
Honestly, I think Obi-Wan was always a bit judgmental of Mos Eisley.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
although I'm going to put this out there now. If we get an episode later on where we find out why he hates Mos Eisley so much, I'd really like that.
Mm.
Like it's just some like I don't care if it's something stupid, like he just got ripped off or something, like and he's just bitter about it as an old man.
Yeah.
Um,
You're charging how much for these converters? But yeah, so they're on a run now, and he's shouting after her, and they're going across rooftop. And Leia, this is where I was thinking Leia has some force abilities that are kind of showing up. She seems to be able to dodge the shots at her, like at a moment's notice. She's able to just jump out of the way and move a different direction. But it gets to a stage where she jumps, and she doesn't reach the other side, and she catches the cable halfway down. And it kind of harks back to her saying, like, make me float, I want to fly, and all this kind of stuff. And he's like, no, absolutely not. But she falls, and he uses the force to dampen her fall, and she's all right.
Yeah, it's the first time he's used the force in this series so far. It was to save Leia, which I think is pretty cool. That's there.
They continue running, and they're stopped by the con man again, and he's like, look, go here, this will bring you safely somewhere where you can be helped. Here's the proof of that. And he's like, how can I trust you? And he just makes point, look, I'm not that bad of a guy. You know, yeah, I'm making them a little bit poor, but they get off planet and they're safe, you know. And I like having credits, like, you know, credits can buy you stuff. And
very honest.
Yeah, and he, to be fair to his credit, look, I'll hold him off. And he goes back, and he meets the third sister, and like she like Jedi pulls things out of his mind, I think.
Yeah, she does the thing like that Kylo Ren does, where he just like holds his hand up to someone's head, like force extracts information from them. And like she manages to find out where Obi-Wan's going from it. I will say though, he doesn't seem in nearly as much pain as when Kylo does it, so I think Kylo might just be bad at it.
Yeah.
Or maybe she's bad at it because they're not in pain. One or the other. But so yeah, she finds out where Obi-Wan and Leia are headed. So they barely get to the cargo port, and they have a bit of a conversation. There's a really nice moment where they're having a conversation, and she's acting she's acting the way she's been acting the whole time, and Obi-Wan just kind of stands back and smiles, and he goes, "You remind me of an old friend I knew." And he doesn't say Padme, but like he talks about Padme.
Stupid about for me? I was like, oh, which one is it? And I was like, who was I thinking of? Who was Anakin's Padawan again? Ahsoka. I was like, is it Ahsoka? Oh my god! Live action Obi-Wan is reference to Ahsoka. And then I was thinking of a few ones, and it was like, oh no, it's Padme. Yeah. But he says, oh, she became a great leader. I was like, well, Ahsoka kind of led a few. Oh, right, okay.
That was like the last thing he said about her too. It took you long. Yeah. So like, it's a really nice moment. It's nice to see like Padme get some love, because I feel like Padme kind of gets forgotten after the trilogy.
I mean, we could say she kind of got forgotten after the episode 2 by the trilogy itself.
I mean, her being pregnant is an important plot point of episode 3.
Yeah, I suppose.
But like the only other thing I can think of is and I wonder if they're going to reference this in the series. The moment in episode 6 that is a major continuity error, where Leia talks about knowing who her birth mother, like having seen her birth mother.
Yeah.
It would be interesting if they referenced that in the series, like they had her Force Ghost or something.
Yeah, I always just put down to Force powers, having some sort of memory, you know.
Yeah. I think it's very possible for them to do. I don't necessarily think they will do it, but I think it'll be interesting to see. Um, there's a few like I'm interested to see where we're going. We're only in episode 2 of what I assume is 6. I haven't checked how
Yeah.
the episode count is. Um, but I mean, there's a lot of things they can still do, and we haven't even finished talking about what happened at the end of the episode. So after the nice little conversation about Padme, the third sister shows up, and you're expecting a big lightsaber fight. I'll say that this show has been actually very action, not actionless,
Yeah.
but action light.
Yeah, it uses action when it needs to.
Yeah, I'd even go so far as to say the first episode is a little slow, but slow in a good way.
Mm.
It's like it's paced very well, even if it's slow. And the second episode is a bit faster paced. It has a bit more action in it because like we're getting into the plot a bit more. But at the end of the episode, the first sister shows up. Obi-Wan tells Leia to go into the ship and wait for him, and he'll be right behind her. Which I think that might be a reference to. I might be pulling it like thin air here, but it might be a reference to Tatooine in episode 1.
Yeah,
when
yeah.
Qui-Gon told Anakin to go ahead.
Yeah.
But so you're expecting this this Qui-Gon versus like Darth Maul type match to happen, but no, Obi-Wan just kind of hides. He never like opens his lightsaber the entire 2 episodes. But so like he hides from her, and as she's like stalking him around the cargo bay, she's like taunting him and trying to like use his fear. Like it's very interesting. They're going for a different emotion when hunting Obi-Wan than they did were going for like Luke or anyone. Because when they were going for Luke, Darth Vader pulled from his anger.
Yeah, I mean the thing they mention is that a Jedi hunts themselves.
Yeah,
like they can't help but get themselves evolved. So it makes sense they're going after their emotions.
Yeah,
you know.
But it's like that's how like Sith would target Jedi, because emotions lead to the dark side in Star Wars lore. Not like emotions in general, but like very strong emotions can like push you that way. Passionate emotion. And so she's trying to evoke fear specifically, and specifically the fear of Anakin and having to face what he did.
Who is dun, 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 alive.
Alive, yeah, no, yeah. That's the most well-known twist in cinema history.
Yeah.
For some reason, saved for an end of second episode twist.
Yeah, but it was still a fantastic reveal. Especially because we see her killing the Inquisitor very quickly, which is a shame because he's great. He's very kind of like...
I would have loved if he was around the entire show. But,
he still might be.
He still might be. Nothing's stopping him.
But yeah, we see Obi-Wan and the kids escape. And, you know, obviously it's going to be a big hunt for them. And Obi-Wan is in, like, trauma. We have a camera zoom up to his face, and then we see Vader, or Anakin, is back to tank.
The best thing about it is that, like, the moment before it, like, flashes to Anakin in the tube, because it's him, no suit on, he's, like, floating in a tube, he's got the respirator on. But the moment before it, he says Anakin, which is shorthand in like Star Wars in general, that characters can communicate through the Force to each other from long distances, and they usually do it opening with the name.
Yeah.
That's evocative of Episode 5 near the end when Luke is escaping in the Millennium Falcon. He's sitting there covered in a fucking blanket, and he's just sitting there like, Father, and like you can tell that Darth Vader like heard it, you know?
Yeah. So I don't think they're going to have a full conversation, but they're both aware of each other now.
Yeah. Again. Wouldn't it be stupid if they had a full Force conversation with each other where they saw each other in the same room? That'd be so weird if they did that.
Yeah.
It's just like, why wouldn't they be doing that the whole time?
Yeah, so weird. Anyway, yeah, so that was the end for this week. Have you been enjoying Obi-Wan Kenobi?
I've really been enjoying it. I'm looking forward to the next couple episodes. I'm not going to say like I love the show yet because we're only 2 episodes in.
Yeah.
But I am really enjoying it. Do you want to know a weird thing that when I was watching the first episode specifically, more so than the second, but when I was watching the first episode, I had this weird, and it's probably just because it's Ewan McGregor in it, but I had this weird connection I kept making in my mind where I'm just watching. I'm like, this reminds me of Doctor Sleep.
Okay.
Which is that movie? The movie came out like 2 or 3 years ago. It was the sequel to The Shining.
Mm.
And Ewan McGregor's in that movie, and there's like a few scenes in this that really made me go, "Oh, that reminds me of Doctor." Specifically, scenes where like he's doing the whole like downtrodden man has made mistakes in his life, and he lets them weigh him down. Especially the scene where he wakes up from the nightmare, in episode 1, because that's like it's very similar to a scene in Doctor Sleep.
Yeah.
Which not exactly the same because there's no zombie baby, but spoilers for Doctor Sleep, I guess too.
Yeah,
Should have said that.
Yeah. There you go.
It's zombie babies in the first half hour. It's fine.
Okay.
I think it's the first half hour. I hope it is.
Yeah, but yeah, I'm looking forward to what's more to come. It does really feel like McGregor never really stopped being Obi-Wan. Like he slipped back into that so majestically well.
Yeah, he's my Obi-Wan. I love McGinnis. You know.
Yeah.
He's good as Obi-Wan, but he's not McGregor.
But I think just it's for me at least. So Alec McGinnis was my first Obi-Wan. I watched the original Star Wars movies before the prequels, and I love him. The childhood memories. The thing is, though, like McGregor has just played Obi-Wan more.
Yeah,
you know, I think that's just the reality of it, and I kind of said to a friend of mine, like, this is definitely my flavor of Star Wars. Like, I love the original series, but god damn, I do have a soft spot for the prequels. You know, and the actors that were involved and the story and world they were building. You know, like it's good stuff.
Yeah, like I mean, like I've gone on record saying my favorite Star Wars movie, and I can't wait to say this for the comment section to lambast me over it. My favorite Star Wars movie is Revenge of the Sith.
It's the best of the prequels.
Yeah, like that. Yeah. I don't care if it's the best movie. I just care that I love Revenge of the Sith, and this movie feels like it was made for, or not this movie. This series feels kind of made for me because it's like directly from Revenge of the Sith.
But the thing is, I think this is
the more
I think it's a beautiful actual mix though between the prequels and the original series.
Yeah.
Like just from vehicles they drive and places they go to, like, and I even think Obi-Wan has aged a bit in his voice.
Yeah,
you know, he's getting a little bit closer to Alec McGinnis.
Yeah, I'm really like I'm looking forward to like how they're going to transition him through because we've got hopefully 4 more episodes.
Yeah, hopefully more 4 more. But I want to mention one thing. The Clone Trooper.
Oh yes, I almost. Oh my god, that was such a nice detail.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think he is going to be an actor that they are never going to get rid of from now on.
Oh, so good! I loved it. It's like, and also obviously a mirror to like how people treat the retired and veterans of the militaries in certain countries, America. Yeah. But you know, obviously we could people could do more for their veterans. And then obviously we see Obi-Wan walking away and instantly bumped in the shoulder by a stormtrooper, seeing the new kid on the block, you know.
Yeah, that was such a god, I love that scene. Like, especially because he sees this retired clone trooper who's clearly like shit out of luck.
Yeah.
So he's collecting credits in his old helmet.
Yeah.
And like Obi-Wan, who is a Jedi who was affected by Order 66, still gives him the credits.
Yeah, but also like he's probably terrified of having this guy see him as well. Recognize him. Because Obi-Wan was a major general in the Clone Wars.
Yeah, He was like
Yeah.
honestly, and like there's also like a factor of Obi-Wan was a friends with a lot of the clones as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So
So like
fair.
this might be like for all he knows, this might be someone he knew
Yeah,
that like neither of them just recognize each other anymore.
yeah.
Um, honestly, that might be like even a metaphor for himself at that point in the story. You
How
know,
do you mean?
like just like he's an aging veteran. You know,
Yeah, absolutely.
um,
He doesn't know his place anymore in the world, what he should be doing.
exactly. Like there's an interesting if there's more like symbolism like that going forward, I could imagine it being more closely tied. For now, it's just me making like a half baked hypothesis
Yeah.
after seeing that scene. Um, but I could definitely see that being a thing if they lean into those themes going forward. They kind of are because like Leia keeps mentioning how old Obi-Wan is.
Yeah. Well, also,
Um,
now we're starting to see how Leia seems to know Obi-Wan as well. Like,
yeah,
because we see in New Hope, she does seem to, like, have a, like, I need you, Obi-Wan. You're my only hope.
yeah.
She doesn't say, my parents, they told me about you, you know?
There is one thing where like she mentions how he helped her father out years prior, which like
He does,
he
technically.
does, he does do that. But it's a bit impersonal. But like
Yeah.
that's a minor continuity thing, especially since those Obi-Wan and Leia never talked on screen together
Yeah.
before this. This is this is the first time Obi-Wan and Leia have ever spoken to each other in Star Wars canon.
I think
How
they
does that
only
feel, Star Wars
saw each
fans?
other maybe briefly as well when she ran onto the Millennium Falcon and
Yeah,
he was looking and seeing them going on there. Which I wonder
yeah.
now, is there going to be a moment that we didn't see where she stops on the ramp and looks at him as well?
Honestly, there's a scene. I think not a scene at the beginning of the series. Um, they did like a previously on where
Uh,
they summarized the relationship between Anakin and Obi-Wan through the prequels,
yeah.
which not 100% necessary. I think if you're watching this specific series, you've probably seen all the prequels.
Yeah.
But I kind of like and this I kind of would like if at the end of this series they do a sort of epilogue.
Oh, yeah, we see everything going on. Maybe have a quick Leia moment.
Yeah, where we like not just the Leia moment, but they recontextualize some Obi-Wan scenes going forward.
Oh, the people who
Um,
make like fan videos are gonna love this. They're gonna like make music videos of cutscenes from
yeah.
the show mixed with like
Oh,
Alec
100%.
McGuinness. Yeah.
100%. Like I also like how you could definitely this is me talking about A New Hope now, not even the Kenobi show, I'm realizing. But like in that scene, you can see him smile as Leia runs on the Millennium Falcon and Luke is there and he's like he's finally got the twins together.
Yeah.
That's nice, and it's something I like about Star Wars because you know for a fact that Lucas hadn't planned that yet. They hadn't,
Or we
but
could
it's
even
like
just have a scene maybe at the end of Return of the Jedi, and it's just him on the moon with the Ewoks and
oh
just standing from distance looking at both of them.
oh yeah.
You know.
Honestly, him here's how you do it. Here's how you do it. You redo the Endor scene,
Yeah.
but you have um I guess you're removing Alec McGuinness, which is unfortunate, but you have Yoda, Obi-Wan, and Hayden Christensen and Anakin.
Yeah.
I know people aren't a huge fan of that
I
edit.
am not a
I'm
fan of that.
I'm I'm fine with it if they do it in this.
Oh, you know what would
Because
be better though? It literally have just a scene where they still let the Luke one happen, and then like just have a Leia moment where she just like turns around, and she only sees one of the Jedi spirits,
yeah,
and it's the younger Obi-Wan, Ewan McGregor, because that's who she
the
would
one
recognize.
that's who she knew. Oh, that's
Yeah.
so good, man. You're smarter than me.
And he just kind of looks up and just smiles, and she's like, oh, and that's it, you know?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's I genuinely would kind of love that.
Yeah.
And That's actually another thing. That's another thing that reminded me of Doctor Sleep is that it's Ewan McGregor working with a young girl as part of the main plot.
I love that the main push from Disney at the moment with Luke over the years has been like, yeah, Luke's okay, but do you see Princess Leia? She's fucking great.
Yeah,
And she
it's
always has
almost
been and will be.
it's almost an apology.
Yeah, it always reminds me of that because no, she was quite strong in the movies as well. But yeah, she was definitely took the she's a princess that needed helping as well, which was a bit weird. But
To be fair, I meant more an apology for the sequel
yeah,
trilogy.
but what was it? I still remember like that meme someone has, and it's just Leia having her arms around Luke's shoulder, and it's like when that time you know Leia strong when she comforts Luke, who just lost his karate teacher for one day after losing her entire planet.
Oh god, honestly, like I liked Leia before. I'm beginning to really love Leia as a character.
Yeah.
With the more like side stuff that's coming out.
Even her running through the forest as a kid gave me like Dagobah and Rise of Skywalker flashback scenes where she trained under Luke in the forest, you know.
Honestly, slight missed opportunity. They might have done it and I just didn't notice. But slight missed opportunity. They could have put the Dagobah chase music there, like a mix of it, while she was getting chased through the forests.
Yeah, I definitely want to pay attention more to music because I saw a few shifts here and there, but I wasn't really paying attention enough to.
Yeah, I regret not paying attention as much as I should have.
Yeah.
To be fair, I did not watch these in work.
I will say these are the first.
Didn't have subtitles on.
This is the first Star Wars TV show that I've seen that I'm like, I'm going to be rewatching this eventually. Like, don't get me wrong, I like The Mandalorian and I like the Book of Boba Fett, but this is the first where I'm like, yeah, I want to rewatch this. This is going to be like part of my watching of the Star Wars movies. At the moment, anyway. Like it could still turn to shit. Let's be real.
If the ending completely fucks it, you know?
Yeah, it was just like, I know, Vader and Obi-Wan just reunite us. No, we can be friends again.
New canon. Honestly, there's like, I will say that is one fear I have for the series. Going forward, is you have to be so careful about having Obi-Wan meet Vader, because in Star Wars canon now, there's two very important meetups between Obi-Wan and Vader.
Yes.
And adding a third is a bit wobbly, in my opinion.
Okay, it depends, because it goes back to Vader's lines that when we last met, I was a student and you were the teacher, but now I am, you know, and it depends, the master, and it really depends now. Like, Obi-Wan basically has to bloody ruin Vader. Like, he has to really beat him in a big way to appear as the master compared to Vader. Which,
in this specific series, is a bit difficult to see, because not only do we know that Anakin is just straight up stronger than Obi-Wan. Like, the only advantage Obi-Wan had in the fight on Mustafar is experience.
Yeah, and that's... yeah, exactly. And the fact that he knew how Anakin fought.
Yes, he's taught Anakin everything he knew. So that's the only advantage he had in that fight.
Yeah.
And now he's going up against if he goes up against Anakin again, not only is he going up against someone who is physically stronger than him, has probably been training for 10 years in different ways to kill, but also who is literally the physical embodiment of everything he has feared for his entire, for the last 10 years of his life. Which I think is a bit difficult to be intimidating during.
Okay, but here's the thing, right? So I watched Rebels, and in the Rebels moment, we have Darth Maul, and he comes in contact with Alec McGuinness, Obi-Wan, right?
Yeah.
And they have a standoff. And Obi-Wan, So I'm not sure when the standoff happens, because I do remember we see Luke in the distance as a kid running home. So I want to say it's set when he's like 11 or 12 rather than set before the 10 years, because it doesn't really make sense if the Alec McGuinness stuff happens before this show.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be... But Alec McGuinness, for people who haven't watched Rebels, his Obi-Wan has a battle with Darth Maul, and it's a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful few episodes. And here, look, skip a minute or two ahead if you don't want to know what happens. Okay, if you're still listening, it's on you. It's 3 hits of the lightsaber, and Darth Maul is down. Obi-Wan has perfected his fighting so much that he doesn't need the jump around, he doesn't need the flipping, he doesn't need a long going battle. The battle was already decided before they even started fighting. And I like to think that by the time we get to the end of the series, Obi-Wan has not only got back his abilities from the past, but has now tempered himself. He has let go of the guilt of what happened to Anakin, of Mustafar, and Qui-Gon the Spirit has potentially returned to him. Because we do see he calls out for Qui-Gon after his nightmare. And I was like, is it going to happen? Is it going to go? Is it going to happen? Ah!
We're just waiting for that Liam Neeson needle to drop.
Yeah. I don't even mind if it's just a voice. Like, that's okay with me. You know?
Yeah.
Because that's fair, because I think they made a point that his training wasn't complete enough to appear physically, but his spirit remained. So I don't care if Liam Neeson's voice comes through. That'd be fucking amazing. But I think this show will be about Obi-Wan letting go of the past. Because remember, when we start watching A New Hope, he makes a point that Darth Vader killed Anakin. At this stage, Obi-Wan still feels he did this to Anakin.
Yeah. So he hasn't come to the point where he believes Darth Vader. Because he didn't even know about Darth Vader.
No.
Which is a bit of an odd thing to think about, that there was a point in this like universe where Darth Vader was kind of an unknown entity.
Well, at least... Well, no, I wouldn't
at
say...
least to the Outer Rim.
I wouldn't say that Obi-Wan doesn't know about Darth Vader, but Obi-Wan doesn't know that Anakin is Darth Vader.
Well, no, he would, because in Episode 3, when they were looking at the logs, like the security logs,
he does.
They see Sidious like naming him Vader.
Darth Vader.
Yeah. No, he has a bit more of a gap. It's like, now rise, Darth
Vader. No, yeah, he does have Vader.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so he does know name, but again, we're out in the Outer Rim. He's just working at a fish farm, and I guess you're right. And he has seemed to put that life behind him as well. Like, he doesn't try to recognize it. He doesn't think of it. He is old Ben.
Yeah, I'm really, really interested, because like at the end of Episode 2, Leia has been rescued for all intents and purposes. We might get another episode where they're on the way back to Alderaan and all the troubles that has.
I really do hope that she gets returned to her home, because I do not want this to turn into like The Mandalorian or Bad Batch, or which one else is there? Like, it just seems like Disney at the moment is all about sad dad finds child randomly and then looks after her. I don't want this to happen in this show. Not to say I don't love those things, but it's a bit one note.
Hey, just be glad they didn't do Pedro Pascal again, just because that's the only role he knows how to do.
Yeah.
Looking forward to him playing Joel in The Last of Us.
We'll leave that for another podcast.
Yeah.
But yeah, hopeful for the future. Kevin will be joining me again next week.
Yes, I will.
It'll probably be shorter than this episode, because we really got into it there.
There'll only be one episode next time.
Yes, and we'll probably try to pay a bit more attention to the music motifs that happen as well, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, go on, Kevin. You have anything?
Yeah. So, before we go, do you have anything like you think of like immediately where you're like, I would love if that happened, or if this character showed up in the show? Do you have anything like in your mind? If you say Mace Windu, I'll give you a slap. But
okay, I won't say him, but you know what I was going to say.
Yeah,
but
I know.
I hear there's rumors of Trey Parker.
Ooh.
Yeah, Darth Maul. It does kind of mess with the Rebel thing a little bit. But I wouldn't mind him showing up in some other area. Maybe he doesn't even show up against Obi-Wan. But I would love to see Obi-Wan and live-action Obi-Wan and Darth Maul. Because we've already seen a member of his species as well.
Yeah, I honestly, I do think that Disney probably wants to do something with Darth Maul, because not only did we got him appearing in Rebels.
Yeah.
We got him
and
appearing in Solo.
Clone Wars as well.
And Clone Wars. But we got him appearing live action again in Solo. Yeah. I can't remember if he was played by Troy Parker in Solo.
I think he was, yeah.
Yeah, it was only a tiny little appearance there, but it was nice to see him again.
He's like a mob lord in it, you know?
Yeah, which is a bit different. I haven't seen Rebels. I don't know if that matches with what he is.
Not really, but it's set a good bit after that time, so this might be the time where we still see him at some height of his power, like in Solo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Do you have any wishes?
My wish is probably the stupidest wish that I could wish for in this show. And once again, it's going to be one of those things that's like, if I say it, Star Wars fans and fans are going to crucify me. I want to see Jar Jar. What's happening with Jar Jar these days?
No, you know what? I'm usually like for like the weird indirect thing. Not for this show, man. Not for this show. All right, like
I don't even want him to be like. I remember over a year ago there was a quote unquote a plot leak for this show, and it featured it said that Jar Jar was going to be heavily involved, and he would be basically Kenobi's sidekick. And it's him redeeming himself for the mistake of accidentally destroying the Republic. But I understand that doesn't fit. I hate Jar Jar as much as everyone else, but I want to know what's happened. I want to see that bastard again.
I think he shows up in one of the books, doesn't he? He's like a child performer in the streets. Like he does juggling for kids and all this kind of stuff. And that's set in the sequel trilogy.
Well, unfortunately, I don't know how to read, so I'm going to have to see it.
You are a Yu-Gi-Oh player, yeah.
Yeah. You think I could read? Goddamn.
Yeah. But look, we'll leave it there for this week. We'll talk about more stuff. I've been looking up the comics and stuff. There's been some parallels, even with the first 2 episodes. To what we've seen in the comics before, but we'll leave that for another time. We'll see you next week. It's a big thank you for listening from me, and I'm sure another one from Kevin.
Yes, thank you for listening, everyone. Hope you enjoyed it.
Okay, we'll see you next week, folks. Look after each other and love each other well. Good night.
Good night.